Before the skyscrapers, highways, and the global superpower image, these rare vintage images were revealed. And some of them will completely change how you see the United States. Let's start in 1906, moments after the devastating San Francisco earthquake. One of the rarest photographs shows Market Street reduced to rubble. Horse-drawn carts move past collapsed brick facades. Smoke still lingers in the background. The shock factor is this: nearly 80% of the city was destroyed. Over 3,000 people died, and more than 200,000 were left homeless. Yet within a decade, San Francisco was rebuilding with steel and reinforced concrete. This image captures both catastrophe and the birth of modern urban planning in America. Now jump to 1911, inside a factory before labor laws existed. A haunting photograph shows rows of young immigrant women sewing garments. Many of them worked in the building that would soon be linked to the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire. The fire killed 146 workers, many trapped behind locked doors. The image feels ordinary at first glance, but knowing what happened later gives it unbearable weight. This tragedy led to sweeping workplace safety reforms in the United States. Sometimes a photo becomes powerful because of what it doesn't show yet. Another rare image from the 1930s captures families fleeing the Dust Bowl. An iconic photograph by Dorothea Lange titled Migrant Mother shows a woman shielding her children. Her face tells the story of the Great Depression better than any textbook. Crop failures, drought, and economic collapse forced millions westward. The United States we know today was shaped by this era of survival and reinvention. In 1945, one photograph freezes the exact second World War II ended for many Americans. A sailor kisses a nurse in Times Square on VJ Day. The image symbolizes relief, celebration, and national unity. But beyond the joy, the war had cost over 400,000 American lives. Factories had shifted to full war production. Women had entered the workforce in record numbers. Technology accelerated at an unprecedented pace. This single image marks the beginning of America's rise as a global superpower. Rare photos from the construction of the Hoover Dam show workers suspended hundreds of feet above the Colorado River, no advanced safety harnesses. Minimal protective gear. Built during the Great Depression, the dam provided jobs to thousands. It reshaped the American Southwest forever. Electricity-powered cities like Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Water irrigation transformed deserts into agricultural hubs. This wasn't just engineering, it was a turning point in infrastructure ambition. Another striking photograph shows children in a one-room rural schoolhouse in the 1890s. Different ages, one teacher, wood-burning stove in the center with no electricity. Education was uneven and often segregated. Compare that to post-war images of expanding suburban schools in the 1950s. The baby boom transformed education systems nationwide. These photos quietly document how access to education expanded across generations. A rare 1,963 photograph captures the massive crowd during the March on Washington. Over 250,000 people gathered peacefully. The civil rights movement reshaped American law and culture. Images from this era show courage under pressure, peaceful protest in the face of hostility. These photographs are reminders that progress often comes through collective sacrifice. History changed because ordinary people demanded it. From the 1970s, we see rare images of early Silicon Valley garages. Before billion-dollar tech campuses, innovation started in small suburban homes. Hobbyists experimented with circuit boards and microprocessors. Companies like Apple Incorporated began in modest settings. These photographs show cluttered workbenches, not sleek labs. Photographs from the building of the Golden Gate Bridge show workers balancing on narrow beams above open water. Completed in 1937, it was once the longest suspension bridge in the world. The engineering challenge seemed impossible at the time, yet the bridge became a symbol of American optimism and design. Images of its construction reveal the human cost and courage behind iconic landmarks. Steel cables, fog rolling in, men standing where no safety net existed. In the 1980s, rare photos of early personal computers show bulky monitors and floppy disks, machines that would struggle to run a modern smartphone app. Yet at the time, they were revolutionary. Families gathered around glowing screens. Schools began integrating technology into classrooms. The United States was shifting from heavy industry to information technology. Vintage photographs of early highways under construction in the 1950s show massive earth-moving equipment carving through landscapes. The interstate highway system changed commerce, culture, and migration patterns. Small towns flourished or faded depending on their access. Road trips became a national tradition. Motels, diners, and gas stations shaped roadside Americana. These images reveal how infrastructure can redefine daily life. Photos show medical inspections, anxious faces, and crowded halls. These images remind us that America's identity was built through waves of migration. Diversity was not an afterthought, it was foundational, and every face in those photographs carried a story. The truth about the early photographs of the United States is that they were not considered to be artistic works. During the 19th century, early photographers would carry glazing plates to front lines, war zones. Battles were fought with long exposures, where mistakes would mean losing the chance to take the shot, leading to greater permanent destruction. And photos required the photographer to sit patiently and be involved in a chemical process. The surviving warfare photos were not accidental, but rather photos that took financial commitment for the photographer. With modern warfare, a freshly ambiguous and modern journalism was created for the 19th century. By the 19th century, American industry was about to quadruple its capacity for expansion. It all started in Pittsburgh. From there, the purchases of microscopes, loopers, and new photography gear sent the world of rapidly expanding photography into a new rapidly expanding world. Millions of new photographers sent the world into a new unfiltered and unedited world. The construction workers at the end of the Transcontinental Railroad were mostly immigrants. The New World was seen as a new, filtered, and unedited world with many new closed and open-crossed bridges. As many 1/3 of the world with unedited and unfiltered photos of the new crosses filled with unfiltered and unedited worlds. From the New World, as many new bridges as 1/3 of the world, many closed the unfiltered and unedited world. The construction workers at the end of the New World were mostly world. The New World took the Old World and rapidly expanded the New World of the expanded and modern world, filling it with modern. The New World of the modern, unfiltered, and unedited world, all captured in one frame at Promontory Summit. Famous images of the Golden Spike event symbolize unity, but who gets excluded from the honor? Many Chinese laborers were removed from reproductions. Remarkably, this detail shows how photographs record, as well as shape. Images tell the truth, but they can also edit it. America's visual history holds both. Skyscraper construction photographs from Chicago and New York are almost surreal. Men are seen balancing on beams of steel at hundreds of feet of altitude. The photograph from 1932 called "Lunch Atop a Skyscraper" shows workers eating casually above Manhattan. It also wasn't just a publicity stunt. It symbolized a country building vertically during economic collapse. Although the Great Depression crushed the markets, the construction never fully stopped. The contrast of it all is powerful. While banks were failing, steel kept rising. The optimism defiance. Photographs in this time depict audacity and hardship that coexisted. Vintage photographs from Ellis Island show us the demographic changes from the human perspective. These photographs show us families arriving with trunks. The clothing they wore was strange and wrapped around them. They stared into the unknown. 12 million immigrants passed through the gateway from 1892 and 1954. The photos show immigrants' faces that are direct and unfiltered and vulnerable. The camera captured every face and story that remained unwritten. America's growth was fueled by migration, from horizon to horizon beyond the western shores. Photographs from Eastern Europe, Italy, and Scandinavia show us the migrating peoples of the world. Right now, we show us the puzzle coming together. These faces transformed the world. They became factory workers, military soldiers, and shop owners. The first photos of automobile traffic from the early 1910s show us streets awkwardly shared between horse carriages and the new motor cars. You can see confusion in the roadmap from what we use now. By the 1920s, traffic rules were standardized, and the first assembly lines transformed the world. The first photos from the Ford factory at Highland Park were a revolution in themselves as they captured vast scales of synchronized production never seen before in the world. How did moving assembly lines change the production of Model Ts? It wasn't just the production time due to the moving assembly line. It changed the world because it started a mass consumer culture. For the first time, the average consumer had the option to purchase an automobile instead of it being a privilege. A shift in consumerism changed the infrastructure of the United States. It physically stretched the nation. New suburbs were constructed to create more residential areas, and new highways were constructed along with early gas stations and diners. The vintage images may seem small, but they were the beginning of our modern mobility and the way it impacted geography. World War II also changed the way the world looked. The images of the aircraft carriers in the Pacific, the troop deployments in Europe, the women riveters, and the war bond posters all tell the story of the war. The women who riveted represented the industrial power of the United States, and the lines that formed to ration represented the mobilization of an entire community. The United States completely shifted its industrial production, and by 1945, it produced half of the world's industrial output. The images of factories that opened in the United States are not just a piece of propaganda. They documented the industrial superiority of the United States. The images of the Manhattan Project leave the mind to wonder the scale of what was produced and what secrets were held within the project. The atomic age changed the world. The United States gained the upper hand in the world's power structure. The silent images of the time were a reminder of the power the United States held. The images of the post-war era created a new tone. The 1950s and 1960s saw the post-war era's visual culture shift to the more common use of color photography. Finally, early NASA control rooms from the 1960s reveal walls of analog monitors and ashtrays on desks. Men in white shirts and skinny ties calculating trajectories by hand. When Apollo astronauts reached the moon, the computing power was less than a modern calculator. Photographs from mission control show tension, concentration, and triumph. The United States had entered the space age. Technology accelerated again, and a new generation grew up believing anything was possible. These 50 rare vintage photos are more than nostalgic snapshots. There are evidence of reinvention, disaster followed by rebuilding, hardship followed by innovation, and division followed by reform. Each image freezes a moment that shaped modern America. They remind us that today's stability was once uncertain, and tomorrow's future is being photographed right now. If these images change the way you see the United States, imagine what the next 50 years will look like. Which era surprised you the most? Which moment felt the most powerful? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through history, like this video, and subscribe for more deep dives into the moments that shaped our world. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.